Peace, guys. What's up? It's your boy, Diehardknicks, host of the Diehardknicks podcast, back with my first podcast in a long time, man. You haven't seen me do a pod on this channel in a minute. Couple technical difficulties here, man, trying to get the pod started. But this is how I'm going to start it from now on. I'm going to give you my first little intro, and then I'll throw the actual video intro and whatever I want to see. I also have something else going on the side. It's not working. Nothing ever works when you're trying to do it. In the trial run, it usually works, but it is what it is. This is live podcasting. I'll get it together. We're still in preseason. But without further ado, let's do the little mini intro that I have here.
Eru, I see you. Die hard.
Yeah, man. So I know you guys seen that from last season, man. But I have the full length video. I have to edit some people out. I actually had RJ still in there. I had OG Ananobi in there. Shout out to those guys. Not OG Ananobi. What's his name? Obi. Obi. What's his name? Obi. I forgot his name, but he don't play for the Knicks no more. He played for the Indiana Pacers. So we're here to talk about the Knicks. So it's a little preseason special here. Get my feet wet again to start talking on my channel. I got the cell phone view here, just testing it out. I would like to go live on Instagram. That's what I'm trying to do on the side here. But for some reason, it's just not connecting. I've been trying for like the longest, man. But we'll get it going. Hopefully, probably in the next couple podcasts. But without further ado, let's just get into this stuff, man. Let's put the stuff on the screen. We're gonna talk right away about Deuce McBride. So I mean, for those that if you're on this channel, Diehardknicks, you already know what's going on. The Knicks have a little bit more than what's allowed as far as rosters. So the Knicks are gonna have to cut somebody, man. So far, everybody's been playing preseason. I thought Mike Brown's been doing a great job as far as getting everybody a chance to shine. Giving them not just spot minutes, because even in the preseason, Tom Thibodeau will be giving guys 3 minutes, 4 minutes, that type of thing. You can't get a sense of flow, and you can't get a sense of belonging on the team with those type of minutes, especially in preseason. So I felt like Mike Brown's been doing a good job as far as that. I get into offense on another podcast, but this is really about the individual players. Just first off, just thinking about Deuce McBride, I just think that he's a guy that either you're going to give him a role, like a defined role, like start him, you got to literally start him, or don't play him at all. You know what I'm saying? Because I just feel his skill set, like he doesn't bring anything off the bench where he's going to bring you like a massive scoring punch, like creating shots and creating shots for other people. He's just really like a beeline player. He just goes up and down, straight line player. He doesn't have any bop to his game. He doesn't make anybody better. He's really just he's a clutch shooter. Definitely, he's a good defender. You know what I'm saying? People they'll emphasize the fact that he can play defense. He can't really guard anybody taller than him, so that's a big problem. So a lot of times taller guys abuse him, especially Detroit. Detroit rocked him a little bit, and then Boston, he ended up having a better series against Boston. It's really because of matchups. You really get the most out of Deuce McBride if you use him as a shooting guard, playing off the ball, allowing him to be that beeline player, that straight up and down player. Because he doesn't have any bop. Brunson has that bop. If I can give a comparison, the perfect team for Deuce McBride would probably be OKC, right next to SGA. Because SGA is a tall point guard. You usually got to put a taller player on SGA, and he just devours them. So the smaller player, the smaller point guard, you put Deuce on that person, and then SGA doesn't have to, guard the other team's best ball handler. So Deuce McBride would get that assignment every night. So that would make more sense for a team like that. But the Knicks don't have that luxury of having like a 6 foot, whatever he is, 6'7", 6'6", whatever how tall SGA is. The Knicks don't have the luxury of having a big guy like that. We have a small point guard, so we can't have a small shooting guard. So it just doesn't make any sense, especially since Mike Brown has already, basically fell in love with Mikal Bridges. He says it's going to be the top 3, I guess. That's one thing too. I want you guys to notice when people are talking about the Knicks and stuff, is that they're going to start using Mike Brown's lingo, like spray. I see people talking about, yeah, man, drive the lane and spray to the outside. We never said spray. Okay, that's Mike Brown. So a lot of people are going to be using Mike Brown's lingo and stuff. So that's something to think about, something to look at when people talk about the Knicks nowadays. You know what I'm saying? So, anyway, I just don't think that the Deuce McBride really fits that thing. He's if anything, Deuce McBride is that person that's gonna get the spray, or, a kick out. That's what we used to say, kick out, before Mike Brown came around. He's the guy that you want to get the kick out. after somebody else penetrated, but Deuce McBride doesn't penetrate. Talking about touch the paint, that's what Mike Brown says. Deuce McBride is not good at that. So just judging by what I saw in the preseason, I heard people say that it's refreshing. Somebody said refreshing. I think it was Macri. I think he might have said that. He said that it's refreshing to see him play. I see people talking about his footwork got better, ball handling got better. To tell you the truth, I see the same Deuce McBride. You know what I'm saying? Just to take a look at Twitter, because Twitter's the only one that doesn't give you strikes in your channel if you use the content on there. So this is Deuce McBride. So I just want to show this here. No, it's not it. This is exactly what he said. This is on Macri when he said the Knicks are refreshing. I mean, Deuce McBride is refreshing. I just don't agree with that language. It's over exaggerating a little bit. But anyway, this is something I want to show. This is this Big Nick Energy. Shout out to them. He said Deuce McBride has been in the gym all summer. Listen, all the NBA players in the gym all summer. Every professional athlete is working out, for Christ's sake. But this is something that everybody's been complaining about, him being able to throw that floater and stuff like that. So he still hasn't shown that floater. The way that he shoots the ball, he shoots it from the top of his head. He still can't get in front of his player. He can go side to side. That step back is always there because he can't go forward. You know what I'm saying? For anybody that play basketball, like if somebody's playing defense on you, if you're playing defense against somebody and they're trying to get past you and they can't, they're gonna be stuck going to jab steps and step backs and behind the back moves and trying to get away from you so they can get their jump shot. And that's all Deuce McBride has been doing. And I don't see anything in preseason that shows that he's gotten better otherwise. You know what I'm saying? So, shout out to Deuce, but as far as like the players that we have on the roster, I think he's like the least skilled player, at his position. What makes Deuce McBride incredible is his confidence. So I'll talk about that confidence later on in the video as well. But Deuce McBride brings supreme confidence to the game. So back when Tom Thibodeau brought him in here, as Tom Thibodeau player, he didn't have nothing. He didn't have no skills. He couldn't shoot. He couldn't do anything. But one thing that he wasn't afraid of competition. So that's one thing about Deuce McBride. He's not afraid to compete. Fast forward now to today, in the summertime, he's at every NBA event. I mean, I've never seen a guy that could possibly be out of NBA rotation or probably a floater. If the Knicks weren't in love with this dude, you know what I'm saying? Like he possibly be like a journeyman kind of guy that's at every NBA event. I've never seen that before. Somebody that barely averages double figures. If he, I can't even know. I don't even know if Justin probably ever really averaged a lot, much over double figures. But somebody like that, I see him at every event. With merch and books and all kind of stuff that he's doing. I think that's pretty cool that he's such a good entrepreneur. But I'm just talking about his personality. He just not afraid to get out there. You know what I'm saying? So that's Deuce McBride's biggest asset. So he's not afraid to try to dunk on somebody to get the ball in the clutch moment and get a jump shot. He's not afraid of that. But outside of that, defensively, he can get abused defensively. And he can't shoot over taller players too, so he gets stuck a lot where, like I said, where guys are playing defense on him, just simple defense, he can't get past him because of the length. Then he goes to the step back, and then the person that's taller, they can get back to him and get that block. So I'm just thinking of teams like say Atlanta, for instance. Atlanta has I think Dyson Daniels over there, a lot of really good defenders. Detroit has some really good defenders, a lot of good length at the guard. Orlando has good, guards and stuff like that. So I'm just thinking about our top competition out there for next season and how does Deuce McBride compete against some of the competition around. So that's what I'm thinking about when I look at Deuce McBride. Is Deuce McBride a bad player? Absolutely not. He's not a bad player, but you have to talk about him, good or bad. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, he is not afraid of the moment. He will hit a jump shot in your face. You know what I'm saying? He will hit a tough shot. He will drive to the basket, maybe banging on you. But outside of that, he's very limited as a basketball player simply because of his height. If Deuce McBride was 6'4", just 2 inches taller than he is now, he would have much more value as an NBA player. But I just think his ability to learn instinctively how to create off the dribble, I just think he doesn't have it now. He might get it later on in his career. Shout out to Charlie Ward. Charlie Ward didn't really get any type of take moves really until like later on in his career. But Charlie Ward was still very good at what he could do, which was set up the offense and hit the jump shot. So, like I said, that worked well for Charlie Ward, because of the personnel around him. But same thing with Deuce McBride. The personnel does not really match what Deuce McBride brings to the table. You know what I'm saying? So because we already have Mikal Bridges. Mikal Bridges and Deuce are basically the same player, except Deuce Mikal Bridges is got him by like 5 inches or something like that. You know what I'm saying? 5 or 4 or 5 inches. So that's my take on Deuce McBride. So I wouldn't mind having him. You know what I'm saying? Like if we didn't have other options on the roster, I wouldn't mind keeping him. It's not somebody that I'm just trying to throw away, but I'm just trying to look at the Knicks value, how the Knicks could utilize the value of a player and get the team better. We need to make the team better. You know what I'm saying? So just sliding over to the next person. So this Malcolm Brogdon here. I don't know why this picture's so damn small. See what I'm saying? Like you guys have no idea making content and stuff like that. Like when you go through it at first, usually the everything works. And as soon as you click play on the video, all of a sudden you don't have Wi-Fi, all of a sudden you can't connect to Instagram, all of a sudden the picture that you posted and just looked at it, now all of a sudden it's the size of a pea. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, this is Malcolm Brogdon. He's actually wearing number 5. I see him in preseason and stuff. Malcolm Brogdon, right off the bat, I just got to say it. He's never been an athlete. You know what I'm saying? He's never been somebody that really had much bop to his game either. You know what I'm saying? But what Brogdon has compared to Deuce McBride is of course the height, because I believe Malcolm Brogdon is about 6'4". They used to list him 6'5", but he's 6'4" or so. You know what I'm saying? He's older basketball player, very savvy, knows how to get to his spots. He's an NBA basketball player. He knows how to get to a spot and get a shot. You know what I'm saying? He knows how to use change of direction type of moves, crossing over and that type of thing. He's not like that type of guy where he's going to be sitting there just doing all this and crossing over. He's not going to be doing that. He's more of a change direction, make you turn on the speed, that type of stuff. Can he run a team? Absolutely yes. And that's one thing that Deuce McBride cannot do. Deuce McBride can't run a team. Brogdon right off the back can run a team. So in perspective though, like just as far as his fit on the team, he's not going to be asked to be a starter. So the difference with Deuce, like I mentioned, I feel like Deuce, you could utilize him better as a starter, but if he's not a starter, then coming off the bench, he doesn't bring nothing to you, to tell you the truth. You know what I'm saying? But in Brogdon's case, I wouldn't want Brogdon starting with Brunson, but I do like the idea of having him coming off the bench, spelling Brunson. So just looking at some of the guys we had before, you want to talk about we just got rid of dude. But I can't forget his name. The dude from Ice Age. Forgot his name, but he's got signed to Indiana recently, man. But he was the backup point guard. So, I thought that he was probably one of the better backup point guards in the league, but I just thought that he just was on the wrong roster. Tom Thibodeau's roster, it just doesn't fit his skill set. But I think under Mike Brown, I think he would have fit better. But we got Brogdon. So within the minutes, you're talking about maybe 14 minutes backing up Brunson. You know what I'm saying? So I think he can get 10 to 14 minutes, backing up Brunson. I think he would do a great job. The main thing with Brogdon, which I'll get to, I see some comments, so I'll get to your comments in a second, guys. But one thing with Brogdon, I'm just looking at this video here. This one stood out to me. Um, it was a play here, broken play. Because that's another thing too. I'll talk about the offense in another video. He got a pass from Hawk Porty, but as soon as he got the ball, he uses his teaching moment to talk to guys and tell them what he needed them to do. So, well, just if I'm not a good lip reader, but he basically just told him, say, "Yo, you're a good passer, man. Let it go. You see the play, make the play." You know what I'm saying? So he put Brogdon in a bad spot where Brogdon got blocked, but he did get the foul. So I just like that he came over to say what he had to say. I think as you're looking, you can see Jordan Clarkson agreed with what he said. Deuce McBride was standing there listening, trying to get game off of Brogdon. But like I said, Jordan Clarkson, if you look here on the right hand side, Jordan Clarkson definitely shook his head. He agreed, absolutely agreed with what Brogdon was trying to tell him. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's important, to have that extra leader, somebody that's been there. He has trophies in his closet. He has 6 man of the year. You know what I'm saying? He has an all-star berth. You know what I'm saying? He did average, like, I believe he averaged 20 points one season. You know what I'm saying? So he's a guy that's actually done something in the NBA, man. So I mean, we're not asking him to do that again, but behind Brunson, I just think that's a really good piece to have there. So let's get into another thing. But just his contribution for us preseason so far. It hasn't, like I said, it hasn't been like something that's shocking. Like, wow, look how good Brogdon is. But like I said, perspective and the role and what we would like to get out of him. I just think that he's in a perfect spot here with the Knicks. I just love his height coming off the bench. I love his height coming off the bench. I see that he's strong. He seems to be in decent shape. I see people complaining about his athleticism, whether or not he's lost a step. He's lost a step several years ago. You know what I'm saying? Even when he won the six man of the year, he was kind of slow. You know what I'm saying? But like I said, what he brings to the table is not speed, it's not athleticism. That's not what you're getting from Brogdon. You have to think about what you want out of the position. Particular role will be off the bench. Spelling Brunson. Here's the thing too: if Brunson was to get hurt, or if he just needed some time off, if Brogdon started, I think we'd be fine. If Brogdon started, the luxury of having a Brogdon start would be great. So, that's another thing too. Like if you get rid of Deuce Bride, then you don't have that option to bring in another quality player like him. You know what I'm saying? But we'll talk about that with the next person here. But let me just get into the chat. What's up, chat? So I see some my regulars here that they usually pop up in here. We got Nostalgic was the first one when I just posted the video. Shout out to Nostalgic. We got Kev here. Kev, host of Nickish. I see him. What's up, man? Yeah, just trying to get the bugs out here, get the little frogs out the throat, the shake the dust off and shit. You know how it goes. Yes, Obi Toppin, thank you guys. Uh you were talking crazy. I forgot what I was even saying. I'm always talking crazy, man. This is what you're here for. You're here to hear me talk nonsense, man. It's Ephraim don't know basketball, bro. Oh my god. So we here early in preseason talking about you really know basketball. Meanwhile, you're here listening to me. And then he said, "Evil, you sound stupid." Evil, who's evil? I guess evil. You mean? Sounds stupid right now, bro. Yeah, so I'm trying not to be as violent this year. You know what I'm saying? I'm getting older. You know what I'm saying? When I first started the podcast, I had a little bit more spunk to me. I'm a little older now, man, so I'm just gonna just take it slow when it comes to certain comments and stuff like that. Jackal comes in, he says, did we look deep? I don't want to skip my man Bobby. See Bobby there. Shout out to Bobby Santiago. Definitely one of my biggest supporters, for this channel. Definitely appreciate that. They said this is the most bozo takes that I've heard from you, hero. What's wrong? So what's the bozo take though? You know? See that's the thing too. A lot of people want to be stars to the show, you know what I'm saying? So you could be the star if you want. Brogdon. So I'm a good big Brogdon fan also. When before he hurt himself, he had like this weird like hip injury or something. They sidelined him. That he was out for like a little while. He just couldn't stay healthy. It was something weird that he had going on with his pelvis or something like that. You know what I'm saying? So he was. I said, looked like he able to get through it or whatever. A lot of these guys they have growth spurts when they're younger. You know what I'm saying? So when they grow, things don't grow the way they're supposed to. Then these guys coming to the league, they're running, jumping out the gym and running super fast and doing all these things. You know what I'm saying? The body never gets a chance to catch up. So I just think that's what his issue was, early in his career, really just at the peak of his career, if I want to say. But, he was able to persevere. Like I said, six man of the year just like 2 years ago, I think. Gibson is saying it's only preseason, but the offense has a lot of room for improvement. Yeah, definitely offense. I want to talk about the offense in my next pod, man. I definitely have some opinions about the offense and stuff, or what I think about what Mike Brown is doing, what he's saying, also, and how certain guys will fit in the offense. So we'll talk about that, on the next pod. So like I said, this is just like a preseason podcast, to get the dust off, and really just get my real thoughts out there. So we got last man standing. He said, "Yeah, I calmed down a lot. Yeah, man, I used to be wilding on this fucking thing, man. But like I said, I'm a little bit older, and I'm starting to understand, the temperature of certain things. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, and plus, like, you get to meet people in real life. Once you meet people in real life, then you see certain things. It just kind of just like gives you like a different perspective about just about life in general, and then just about how this internet shit works, man. Shit is just weird." So last man standing, just coming in here giving the salutes and stuff. Nostalgic Nick says, are you still on Nightcap? Yeah, we'll be doing Nightcap. They're doing it on Nick of Time show. So I don't know. I was never asked about being on Nick of Time show, but shout out to Nick Portal. Nick Portal wants to take advantage of Nick of Time show's notoriety, I guess. Their subscriber count that he talks about a lot. You know what I'm saying? So it's all good. Shout out to those guys over there. I've never done a pod on their show outside of the Knicks Nightcap. I never spoken to Jay Ellis, any of these guys. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Ebony. I met Ebony before she even was doing podcasts. She was a little bit scared to do it. and now she's on Nick of Time show full time, which is cool. You know what I'm saying? Some of the other guys I don't really care for, to tell you the truth. You know what I'm saying? But it is what it is. I'm there really, for Nick Porto. I got respect for Jay Ellis also. You know what I'm saying? It'd be nice to talk to him one day. You know what I'm saying? I've been on pods, on his pod. He popped on the pod. Never actually got a chance to talk to him. About anything. But it's all good. That's a little insight on the show. So that's one thing about me. I'm always going to give you like I'm just gonna tell you how it is. I don't really care what people say or what people think of what I'm saying. I'm just gonna say what I want to say. And if you ask the question, I'll give you a straight answer. I'm not gonna like beat around the bush about it. And I'm not afraid to say people's names either. You know what I'm saying? So just definitely saying what's up to you guys. But without further ado, let's get back into some more comments here. So, as far as backups and stuff. So let's say like if here goes another picture that's like too small. I just don't understand it. I just don't understand it. Like as soon as you push play, the freaking whole computer goes crazy, man. But anyway, this is our guy Landry Shamit, man. So Landry Shamit, if you want to talk about depth, to say Brunson was to need some time, and you had to start Brogdon. Landry Shamit could come off the bench and he could fill a role there. I like Landry Shamit as a ball handler. I think he's a decent ball handler, so he would help out the ball handling along with Jordan Clarkson and that type of thing. Deuce McBride will also help as well. But like I said, a decision has to be made. Only we can only keep one of these guys, really. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna have to get rid of somebody just to keep one of these guys. So who are we gonna get rid of? In order to keep at least one. If we want both, if we want to keep Brogdon and Shamit, then we got to get rid of two people. So who are these two people they're going to get rid of? That's the big question. So we don't really need to see highlights or anything about Shamit. I do have a highlight queued up here. Him playing defense here. He's very good quarter wear, as you can see him getting back on transition defense and blocking a shot in preseason. So, this is what Brogdon does, man. Brogdon is awesome. You know what I'm saying? He's not somebody that's gonna fill up the stat sheet because he averaged like 2 rebounds and 2 assists, 1 rebound, 1 assist or whatever throughout his career. So hasn't really averaged a lot of stats and stuff. But when it comes to playing basketball, he's a good basketball player, man. Definitely has enough height to play small forward, enough toughness to play small forward. Like I said, he could ball handle enough to play a little bit of off guard, you know, and a little bit of point guard, excuse me, mostly off guard, spot up shooter and that type of thing, man. So he's a good basketball player. So he's somebody that I would love to keep on the roster. But like the question is like, who is if you're gonna keep him, who are we getting rid of? So that brings me to the young kids here, man. So this is Pacome Dadier and Tyler Kolek. So between these two guys here, these guys came in the same draft class. Uh, you know, um, it's not really much to say here. This guy Tyler Kolek was the best point guard in college basketball when he came out in his draft. Definitely the best passer, but he's also slow as molasses, man. Same like one thing I was mentioning earlier about when it came to confidence. Tyler Kolek and Deuce McBride equally have the same confidence, man, because Deuce McBride, he shows up. His confidence is what is probably his biggest asset. Tyler Kolek, he can shoot the ball, man. He definitely can shoot the basketball. If he every time he shoots it, I feel like it's gonna go in, man. So he's definitely adept at shooting, wide open jump shots. So he would be good to keep around, what I'm saying. But like I said, we have to make a decision. Is Brogdon the guy? Is Shamit the guy? Are we gonna keep these players? So that's the problem. One thing about Kolek is he can't defend. He can't guard anybody. Another thing also is he can't get by anybody. Tyler Kolek is really good at angles and turning his body like in weird ways so he can get into spots. You know what I'm saying? He'll bring a lot to the offense as far as Mike Brown wanting to spread offense to spray it out to his teammates. That's what Mike Brown likes to say, spray. So I mean, Tyler Kolek will be very good in that role because he can't get to the paint, but he can touch the paint the way Mike Brown explains it. So he can get to the top of the key. He can get like baseline, but he can't get to the basket. You know what I'm saying? So he can get to the spot where the coach needs him to get to, and then he's very good at kicking it out. So that's really his game. So that's the big thing. Tyler Kolek could fit Mike Brown's system, but now we're talking about a third string point guard here. You're talking about a guy that might not even play at all. You know what I'm saying? His jump shot is there, but like I said, defense is not. You know what I'm saying? His ability to kick out to the shooters is there. But he can't get to the basket at all. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, he's somebody that we can keep, but Brogdon is right there also. Leadership wise, I like Brogdon better leadership wise. You want to talk about like a mascot and somebody that's going to help that's going to make the other teammates happy. Just watching Kolek play, and every time he succeeds, the bench goes crazy because they love him. So he's basically like a mascot kind of player. You know what I'm saying? So what value do we have just having a guy that's a mascot? You know? This guy, Pacom Daddier, tall player, man, 6'8", 6'9", possibly. I don't know what his skill set is though. I don't know what he does well. He can't post up. I think he loves basketball. I think that's one thing about him. I get the feel that he enjoys playing basketball. One thing about him though, I just feel like he doesn't have that drive, that internal switch of for competition. You know what I'm saying? He's not very like the way that he plays, he doesn't play competitively. You know what I'm saying? He plays in a way where he's learning, where he's learning and waiting and biding his time and waiting for his time, to when he's ready to shine. But at the same time, you got to have a drive, a confidence, the same confidence that Kolik has, the same confidence that Deuce McBride has. I don't think Paco Daddier has that confidence, that you just feel like I gotta play this guy because he just something good is gonna happen because this guy is so confident. For assessment of him, I think he plays solid defense. I think he could possibly be a lock defender one day. You know what I'm saying? His jump shot looks good. So I feel like he could be a spot up shooter one day. He does a good job of sealing guys off and getting to the basket. So he can seal guys off, get to the pro spots and shoot pro shots. He can get to areas and get pro shots, which I like about Pacon. Like I said, he could get to the rim and dunk too, man. So he does have like a prototypical NBA skill set. Like he's an NBA player. He's a professional basketball player, definitely. So whether or not he's an NBA player, I'm not too sure. And if we was to trade a guy that's only 19 years old, you know what I'm saying? He's still young, just as young as some of the rookies in this league coming in this year. You know what I'm saying? Last year he was the youngest NBA basketball player last year. This year he's like right on par with this class. So I would hate to get rid of this dude, because for the simple fact that possibly when the Knicks are ready to retool, we already have this guy that we could slide into a spot and try to take advantage of that. You know what I'm saying? So, it's interesting the problems that we have here. But I'm not an NBA GM, so I don't know what to do, to tell you the truth. I just I gave negative remarks and I gave positive remarks to each of the players that I talked about. I talked about Deuce McBride. We got Deuce here, we got Brogdon I talked about, and then I talked about Shamit. And then I just talked about the two young guys here, Tyler Kolek and Pat Cone. One thing about Tyler Kolek, I gotta say, is that him and Deuce McBride are almost the same age. You know what I'm saying? So that's no good. Somebody that's a second year player, the same age as somebody that's a 4-year player, So I mean that's writing on the walls too, man. So just looking at that, man, I think it's quite possible that the Knicks might need to find a home for probably Tyler Kolek, just for the simple fact that we just don't have any room for him. Because as long as Shamit, as long as Brogdon, as long as Jordan Clarkson, as long as Brunson, as long as those guys are on the roster, then there's no need for Tyler Kolek. And I just think that if we ever needed another player, we can just pluck one off the free agent wire, to be a fifth, or fourth, point guard. You know what I'm saying? That type of thing. We could pluck those guys off the waiver wire if we needed. And if we ever needed to do that, that means we're in trouble, man. As far as pack home, like I said, I don't know how we get rid of a guy like that with such upside. So let me just see what else you guys are seeing here. So I see some new names here. Blah, 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 blah. All right, so I see Last Man Standing. He says, I think Clarkson is going to be a really nice pickup for us. I think so too, man. Clarkson is the nut, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like that's how I describe it. That's how like I grew up calling people like that. People that just never seen a shot they didn't like are fucking nuts, man. They're like nuts. We basically call them a nut. That's what I call them. Somebody that just has no conscience, whatever. That this they could dribble, whatever, but they can't really dribble all that great, but they got all these moves, creative moves. They put up shots. You're like, yeah, what is this guy doing? Then he does something incredible and embarrasses the other, or you end up winning a game, or you don't lose because this guy. You know what I'm saying? And meanwhile, you don't know how to play with him because he's fucking so erratic. So, but that's how Clarkson is. But Clarkson in his older age is much more savvier than he used to be. He still puts up a lot of wild shots, but the Knicks don't have any much players like that. Because like I said, if you want to keep Deuce in the rotation, Deuce doesn't want to shoot the ball. He can't create his own shot. Deuce McBride ends up getting step back jump shots, moonshots a lot of times. Sometimes they go in. Doesn't mean is that he's a good creator. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, Clarkson is definitely going to help us a lot, throughout the season. Minutes, excuse me, minutes wise, he's definitely going to have to play a lot because I can see Mikal Bridges playing small forward, sliding over when OG's not in there, that type of thing. So Mike Brown's probably gonna have a lot of fun, mixing, matching players and stuff. I just think that would be dope. And Clarkson's definitely gonna be a big part of that, man. I can see Brunson and Clarkson having games where both of them are going off in the backcourt, doing their thing depending on matchups and that type of thing. So it's all good, man. Yeah, this guy, Shamit, man, he's just a good basketball player, man. He's just like what I just mentioned, Clarkson. Clarkson is a nut, but Shamit is a guy you want on your team because he's gonna play hard. He's gonna run, full court every time. He's gonna play full court defense. He's gonna knock down jump shots. He's gonna get to the basket. You know what I'm saying? He's gonna get that hard rebound. He's gonna, he's just a really good basketball player. He's somebody that if I'm gonna play, I want Shamit on my team. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times over players that are considered better, I still would want Shaman on the team just based on the fact that he just knows how to play basketball, bro. You know what I'm saying? So I'm really high on Shaman. Not to necessarily be a starter or anything like that. Just I want him on the roster. You know what I'm saying? Just in case something happens, we could just throw him out there. He can definitely be that guy that could just fill in holes for us, from time to time. Or give guys a break. If guys need a break, we could just put Shaman in and let Shaman get some run and we know we're not gonna lose as far as like basketball IQ and that type of thing, and effort. You know what I mean? Pack home, it's tough, man. The guy's 19. What do you do, bro? You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Amani the Great from Indianapolis. He says, my brother, how are you? Good seeing you back on because you're intelligent, respectful. Yeah, I appreciate it, man. I haven't always been respectful. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to my guy earlier here. I wanted to say you got for those that know that follow the channel, he was saying whatever he's gonna say. I love to say a lot of wild things, man. A lot of wild things come out my mouth on this channel, but I'm trying to stay away from it, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna be muting myself a lot this year. I'm gonna avoid telling people things, or giving people directions. I'm gonna stop doing that. I'm not Google Maps. You know what I'm saying? So I got to stop, giving people directions to things. So just stick to the topic at hand. You know what I mean? Uh, this is my uncle here, right? This is my big uncle. He says, those two are 5 million on the books. Yeah, man. Money is a big thing. But the Knicks are like right scraping the ceiling of the second apron. Everybody knows about that now. We're scraping the ceiling, so that's the reason why we have to get rid of on certain plays in order to fit them on the apron. So that's how that works. So it's I'm just glad I'm not the GM. Shout out to to our GM and our brain trust. So everybody that's in the front office, man. These are the guys that are trying to figure it out. And Mike Brown is here. He's going to give them data feedback and stuff on what he thinks or who he thinks or who he really wants on the roster. That's another big thing too. Who does he want on the roster? Who does he want on the roster compared to what the front office wants as far as the team and future building and that type of thing. So it's gonna be interesting. Uh, Sliding down here. I'm trying to see if I see any new names here. It goes on Animal Lex here. He says, salute. We should trade both. We need veterans now. It's interesting. I'm gonna get into a trade real quick to close out the podcast. Um, oh, Wonder Woman's here. What's good, Wonder Woman? These are all familiar names from the seasons in the past, man. Like I said, this is like a preseason podcast, man. So I'm trying to get the Knicks out of this. No pun intended. As you can see, I got a Knicks t-shirt, man. Get these from Amazon. They have these shirts on Amazon. They're about $20 or whatever, $21 or whatever how much they are. You get them you get them in 2 days, and it's a nice t-shirt, regular black t-shirt, very comfortable t-shirt. But the print itself, as you can hear it, like I was actually wearing it at work and I spilled something on it, and you could just clean it. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't stain the shirt. It's right in the front, perfect, man. So this is from Amazon. Like I said, for those that need Knicks shirts, just go on Amazon. They're just type Knicks t-shirts. This should pop up. Like I said, they deliver them in 2 days. Amazon is the one that prints this. So they print it right away and they send it right out. So it's like an order on demand kind of thing. So you can order as much as you want. You get them in 2 days. You know what I'm saying? So go to Amazon and check it out. This is exactly what I got. I'm gonna be wearing these almost every day. You know what I'm saying? I got black ones and I got blue ones. They have gray also, but I don't really like the gray, because I sweat a lot. You don't really see the sweat too much with the black and the blue. You know what I'm saying? So you'll be seeing me off and on with black and blue as I do these pods and just walking in the street, man. You know what I'm saying? So go to Amazon and check that out. You know what I'm saying? I'm not affiliated with Amazon, nothing like that. Just I'm affiliated with you guys, man. So shout out to Ron here. He goes Ron from Still Knicks. He's a salute. Good to see me back. Yeah, man. I haven't been around. It's not easy, man. Shout out to Ron because Ron hasn't stopped. I noticed that Ron is still putting out content. So shout out to Still Knicks and shout out to Ron and John. Those both of you guys are still putting content out now. It's not easy, man. Life changes and stuff. Emotions change. What a lot of different things are going on behind the scenes and stuff. Just to try to find time to do these pods is it's not easy. You know what I'm saying? Before it seemed like it was easy, like I had time. A lot of time I was just making time, and I wasn't spending time with my kids, or I wasn't spending time with my wife, or I wasn't taking care of myself physically. You know what I'm saying? So I've been trying my best to try to fix that, man. So I still love doing podcasts. As you guys know, I'm talking in front of the screen now. So I'll still try to get myself in front of this camera and put content out there for you guys. So please continue to support. Keep supporting Still Nicks too. I have an opinion here about just on content creating in general. But I'll keep that to myself for now. I'll just throw stuff out there as time goes on. What else we got here? Oh, Kareem Grant in the place. What's up, Kareem Grant? Kareem popping in and saying what's up to everybody. So I just want to see if anybody else new is here. Yes, avoid people from invite from avoid myself from inviting people to the hot dog stand. Yes, you know what I'm saying. There's one right there on freaking what is it? 33rd and 7th, right there on 33rd and 7th. There's a freaking hot dog stand right there. You know what I'm saying? Just right there. If anybody wants a hot dog, it's literally right there. Enjoy, put as much ketchup and sauerkraut on it as you want, man. Shout out to Kerry Cox in the place. What's up, Kerry? Yeah, man, definitely good to see you guys on the channel. So let me just leave this here. This is the Fanspo trade checker. This is the best trade checker in the business, man. I used to think it was other uh you know um websites or whatever, but Fanspo is the best. Is hands down. If you can see on the right hand side, like I said, the screen is not really good here because I'm using the cell phone screen. But scrolling down here, just looking at salaries and stuff, Peckham Daddy makes 2.8. You got Tyler Cole makes 2.1. So that's about what close to $5 million there. Deuce Bryant only makes 4.3. They got 4.3. What's this? That makes it like low. I'm not good at math, so it's like 7. Then you got 8, 9. So you got almost about $10 million almost with those salaries. One person I would like to talk about real quick before we get out of here is Josh Hart. I just click Fanspo. This is Fanspo's thing here. So Josh Hart, I like the fact that he rebounds well for his size, 6'4", but gets 9.8 rebounds per game, 5.7 assists last year, 13 points per game. He's going to be coming off the bench this year. He hurt his back. He came into training camp with his finger still busted. His finger looked crazy. It's like pointing in a different direction. It's a shooting hand, and he's talking about, yeah, I'm gonna go through the season, and then I'm going to see what's going to happen next off season. So you mean to tell me, 82 games plus the playoffs, we gotta hope that Josh Hart can stay healthy and then not re-injure his finger throughout the course of the season? To me, that's enough for me to like instantly put him on the trading block. You know what I'm saying? Regardless of everything he brings to the table, there's all positive. He plays extremely hard. You want to say Josh Hart is the heart and soul of the Knicks? Yeah, he quite possibly could be. You know what I'm saying? But for him to show up to the training camp with his finger still busted, I don't want to hear nothing about, oh yeah, I re-aggravated it recently. No, I just think that he don't want to leave the Knicks. So he didn't fix the finger like he's supposed to. So now the Knicks can't trade him because other teams don't want to trade for a guy with his finger busted. That's what I think is going on here with that. So I could be wrong. I don't want to be the first guy to throw Josh Hart under the bus in that way. But I don't think I've ever heard anybody say that. And first thing I thought about was like, yeah, he could have fixed it, but chose not to because he didn't want to get traded. That's what that to me is what it is, and I just think that's messed up. You know what I'm saying? Because not for nothing, after going through all this talk about trades and stuff like that, possible waiving players or whatever, adding Josh Hart to a deal with Pack Home and Tyler Kolek, is actually something that we possibly can do. Put those guys in a deal and possibly get somebody in here that can help the team out within the rotation. You know what I'm saying? So, I could be wrong about that. You know what I'm saying? But if it's up to me, this is not fantasy basketball. But it's up to me. I love making trades, so I would have been stacked guys up and sent them out in the beginning of the offseason. I would have traded somebody to get somebody that can help out the roster today. Somebody that can get into the starting, like, not necessarily starting lineup, but get into the rotation and possibly be a spot starter if we would need them, due to injury and that type of thing. That's what I'd be looking at if it was up to me. But it's not up to me. You know what I'm saying? So, Josh Hart is lucky because I would have probably got rid of him as soon as I realized his finger was like that. You know what I'm saying? So we just see what else you guys are saying. How do I buy a hat? So these hats here I actually just made myself. So people have been asking me about it for the longest. So I'll see if I can get some done and put some up. I'm still working behind the scenes. Like I said, I'm by myself. Doing these type of things. I'm not really good with collaborating with people. I see Still Nick says we have to get together at a watch party or something. But no doubt we gotta hang out. We've been trying to say we're gonna hang out for the longest time. But I'm not really good at working well with other people because I don't really trust people too much. You know what I'm saying? And I've trusted a couple people since I've been doing this, and I've never had a good experience. Outside of nothing but Knicks and the MBK fam. Outside of those guys, man, they're the only ones that have never did me wrong. Especially Ron. Ron has never did nothing to me messed up. But I've other content creators. I've been in situations where they've done put me in a spot where I look like an ass, or they're wasting my time. I don't like having my time wasted. You know what I'm saying? So, that's a more insight there. But anyway, he said go to the link in my description. Yeah, I do have some merch there, but the merch is gonna start to evolve. I'm gonna change companies soon too, man. So you'll see more about that as time goes on. So double big no. Moving cat to power forward makes his offense worse and takes that's one thing that I want to talk about too. But like I said, I didn't really want to get into too much of it today because actually would like to do just an offense podcast, but Dave Smith, you're right on the money here. It's already like a red flag that the cat is going to be thrown around all over the place. Players need roles. They need to know where the shots are coming from. They need to know how they match up. They need to know that, or else there's a stress on them throughout the year. Cat is talented enough to get through that, but he shouldn't have to deal with that. You know what I'm saying? So that's why the Giannis rumors is really good because if as soon as we get Giannis is the power forward and Cat is a center, and that's the end of it. You know what I'm saying? So just because Mitchell Robinson can't do certain things on offense, you're gonna have Cat bouncing around, and I just don't think that's fair. Shout out to Garcon. They're gonna make him play center a lot with Cat at the power forward. You know what I'm saying? So right off the bat, it just throws everything out of whack, and I just don't like that. But like I said, there's something I want to get into on the next part. Gibson is here. What's up, Gibson? He says, with our cap space, the front office did a great job. Yeah, I thought they did great, man. Getting Garcon, that was fantastic. Getting Garcon on the roster. We definitely needed a real power forward. Shout out to Precious. Precious is the idea of Precious is nice, but he just never I saw him in Charlotte with my sister. Me and my sister went to Charlotte to watch the Knicks play, and he just completely pissed away his opportunity out there as a professional athlete. I just thought that he was just completely just pissed away that performance that night, and I just lost all respect for him. My sister don't even want to look at him. To tell you the truth, my sister's worse than me. You want to talk about somebody that's animated and says wild shit on random? My sister's just as bad as I am. You know what I'm saying? But she's a corporate worker, so she's afraid to get in front of the camera because she doesn't want to tell somebody to suck my dick on camera, and then people see her at work, and it's like, oh my god, I can't believe you said that. You know what I'm saying? So I get it, man. But you might see my sister. Me and her have been talking about doing pods together too, man. So for those that met her in person, for those that have seen her around on the channel or whatever, maybe like I said in person, you guys will probably get a kick out of that. Um, Trading Cat for Giannis, he's talking about, is stupid. Yes, I don't think that's a good idea. Both of them on the court at the same time is different. So anyway, there goes Knicks Nation. Shout out to Knicks Nation here. Knicks Nation 112. What's good, man? He says, I agree. He's talking about what I'm saying, I guess. I believe the front office got rid of Tibbs. The Knicks should have traded Josh instead of RJ. That's interesting too. If they were going to get rid of Randall. Yeah, so that's all, water under the bridge, you know what I'm saying? But just going forward, I like I said, I like what Josh brings to the table, man. But we're at a point now where we kind of need to figure out. And right now with preseason winding down, and we still got another preseason game, I believe. I think we got two more, if I'm not mistaken. I think we got one more, if I'm not mistaken, preseason game. So I mean, time is ticking. We got to get this thing done now. You know what I'm saying? So we don't have time to be fooling around. Trying to figure out what we're gonna do with roster spots and that type of thing. You know what I'm saying? This is something that we should have dealt with earlier on in the season. But here we are in training camp, dealing with this. And it's not typical Knicks, but it's just that the Knicks were just waiting, and I just think that waiting too long kind of messed it up a little bit, man. So he said, anybody concerned about Josh early in? Yeah, I just mentioned that. Like I said, I would have traded Josh. But it is what it is, man. So uh, my take about who's going to get cut, I think the Knicks are probably going to, I think they want to keep Pack home. I think that Diarra guy is nice to have, because he's been a gym rat. He's been impressing them, impressing fans too, impressing me. There's a video just showing him sitting on the sideline, just watching the guys play. He's a gym rat, so he just likes to watch basketball. So he's there. So if we trade Pack home, we still got Diarra there. You know what I'm saying? Diarra to fill in the same spot. And then Diarra looks like somebody that might actually be somebody that you could facilitate offense through one day. So, what I'm saying? So, I mean, I think the Knicks might actually trade Pack home possibly to a team to get like draft capital, which I don't really like, but the draft capital is going to give the Knicks cap space. So that's what the Knicks need to do. Tyler Kolek, I would like to get rid of, like I mentioned. And outside of that, I just don't know what the Knicks are gonna do. Hawk Porty's there. I kind of like the idea of having Hawk Porty around for like the mascot purposes, but the Knicks are in a bad spot. Shamit, we want Shamit there. And like I said, I think I like Brogdon, but if I could say, they might end up cutting a Brogdon and trading a Pack home for a draft pick. That's what I think might happen. As far as big things, like I said, if it was up to me, I would have been made a big move already and got a solid player that can either start for us or spot start for us. Somebody along the lines of a Garcon, that could do that rotational spot starting kind of guy. I would love to get a player like that, but right now it's kind of too late. We're up against the wall. You know, Shout out to another player that's available. Westbrook, isn't Westbrook still available? I don't think he's on the team, right? Anyway, I'll leave you guys with that. It's your boy Diehard Eru. This is Diehardknicks podcast. Like I said, I wasn't sure if I even was going to do a pod or do podcasting anymore. You know what I'm saying? But I still actually love it. Shout out to State. State had me on two pods recently. I had me on a pod yesterday, if I'm not mistaken. Me and not yesterday, the day before yesterday. Me and State was talking together, and we talked off camera too. He said, "Yo, man, where you been?" You know what I'm saying? So I get it. People, people are spot, they what do they call it? You know, uh, Doing the sponsorship on YouTube thing, so they've been giving money and stuff. So I feel obligated to support them too, man. But just like the feedback off camera and stuff, I just appreciate everyone, checking in and asking me to do content. So, I'm gonna keep doing it as long as I keep getting the positive feedback from everyone, man. So anyway, this has been Dianetics Podcast. I'm up out of here. Next podcast will be a little bit more cleaner. Like I said, I'm trying to get on Instagram. It's just not working for some reason. But you'll probably see the channel, this pod on Instagram and YouTube, and we just keep it going, man. Like I said, somebody mentioned it earlier, the Knicks nightcap. We will be doing that on the Nick of Time show. That'll be on Wednesdays. You know what I'm saying? So Phil Portal's trying to get me more incorporated in the show. But it's still his idea. It's not my idea. He's just telling me what he wants me to do. So that's what's happening there. So we'll see what happens. But anyway, without further ado, it's your boy Eru. Check you guys later. Thanks for tuning in. And we out. I don't really have a good outro yet, but we'll just play the same one I had on earlier, man. So anyway, I'll catch you guys later. Peace.
Eru, I see